This is a 1986 Chevy C10. It's a factory two-wheel drive, short bed diesel pickup. It's a pretty rare truck. There's not a ton of them out there being two-wheel drive, short bed, and diesel. It was also a manual, which is kind of rare too. So it's a very cool truck. What's going to happen in today's video is we're going to go get this bed done. This is the back of the bed. I have to get this welded back on. This is a factory short bed. A lot of people online with the short videos that I do think that I'm cutting down a long bed, which is not the case. This is just over a ½ inch of material that came out from right back here. And this is the back of the bed. You have to take that out because this whole bed floor, I don't know if you can see that in the frame, I'll show you in a second, but this whole bed floor is raised up 11 inches because I have a full custom chassis under the truck, and the notches for it being bagged and the axle to come up all goes up 11 inches. And I didn't want a hump in the floor. I've always had this vision of a nice flat bed floor. Even though it's up really high, it's still gonna look good. I did the fenders. So the whole bed floor comes up 11 inches. I just finished these last week or the week before, I don't remember, I had to work. So I would say those came out pretty good. This extra, so when you take the 3 inches out of here, you have to lengthen this. So the 11 inches that came out of the back wall of the bed, same color blue, that's what I used right here because it's got the same stamping and everything. I don't know if you could see that on camera. I'll do a separate little thing in a little bit, but fenders turned out really good. Very happy with those. So with the bed floor coming up 11 inches, the fenders had to come up 3 inches, and I will, once we get this done, we can fit the bed sides, and then I'll put the fenders back in and show you. And then this coming in, it moves the floor, the back of the floor in past the bed posts, because as you go up, the tailgate comes in a little. So the tailgate wouldn't fully close without this ½ inch coming out. So it's kind of hard to explain, but everybody will tell you as soon as you start raising your bed floor, make sure you watch out because you won't be able to close your tailgate. So that is something you got to do. So where we're at on this, we have just over a ½ inch cut out. We have this piece prepped and got it ground down. Hit it with the 3M, the fat 3M disc all the way down. Gets you a nice layer on all the sides so that you got plenty of room to weld to. Close. Okay, that's getting closer. So just like that, we've got a bunch of little tacks all the way down this. It's gonna need some hammer and dolly to get back to where it needs to go, but you could look down that. It's very flat to the point where I took the supports out. That's all holding real nice there. And if you look across the ribs, we are good right there. It needs just a little hammer and dolly there. I'll go through and fix that stuff. Like the majority of where we're at, we are dead flat to the back, which is what we want. So with that like that, I think I'm gonna go through and toss just a couple more tacks in it so that it doesn't come apart. And then I'm gonna start fitting up bed sides. I'll probably push this out in the driveway here, move some of our paddleboard stuff for the kids, and get some bed sides on it. And like I said, this MiG 200 from Art Captain, the thing welds like extremely well. Really happy with it. God, this camera doesn't want to focus. Anyway, so got that's where we ended up. I'm gonna give it a few more tacks, and then we're gonna put some bed sides on this, see how we feel about it. If we're good, we're gonna just keep on welding. Give it a few more tacks. I gotta beat this off. This little metal piece of stuck. Done deal. Okay. Okay, that edge is feeling good. There's the ones I just fixed. Put it right in there. Perfect. Feeling pretty good. That's where we're at with our tacks. Nice flat piece. Now we're gonna get the bedside on. Get that taken care of. We're probably gonna have to hog this hole out a little bit this way, which is fine. We'll do that now. Same with this side. A little bit of hogging. Should be good. So we just want to go 1/2 inch. And we're just gonna mark it so we know where we're going. Okay, we got those slotted out. It's a little bigger than what I wanted it, but I had this carbide grinder that wasn't working so hot. This side's done. Slotted out. That side looks better because I used the grinding stone through the whole thing. Just has to be like a 1/2 inch forward because that moved back because we're missing the 1/2 inch. And then also that has to be cut because it moves back. I think it still might touch, but I want to put a bedside up there and see, and then we'll go from there. So those are the chunks that came off of here. And that's where we're at. I'm going to get a bedside fit up there and see what we're looking at. One bedside is on. Things are working out really good. I do got that little gap right there I have to deal with because remember, we're a 1/2 inch shorter. It's not a huge deal. I'll figure out something to do with that, or it can be a drain hole, something like that. Not a huge deal. But this was a 1/2 inch out here. Tailgate would not close because the tailgate has different structure up here, like I was saying. But see, we're 11 inches higher on our bed all the way around. So that's what you got to do there. And much better. We're right with the post where I want to be. I'm going to get this other one on here, which should be the exact same because it measures the exact same. But I'm going to check it all and then check the bolts out. I don't know if you can see this. That's the hole I hogged out. We got a factory bolt in there. Factory bolt lines up perfect there. Like, everything's working out real good. I'm going to get both bed sides bolted up, the bolts in it, and then the floor is nice and level. While the bolts are in it, I'm going to do a bunch of welding on the front here. Hopefully it doesn't warp. I don't think it will. I really don't think it will. If it does, it's going to be very minimal. It's kind of expected that it could warp. This stuff did pretty good on not warping, and that's all welded back together. Same with the back wall. Just take it slow and steady. One more bedside to get on there, check the fitment, and then we're good. All right, tailgate's on, and this is why we test things. Check that out. We're like a 1/2 inch from closing because I didn't take into account that this rib comes out further than that post, which is what I was going to. So I need like another 1/2 inch out of here. So I'm gonna have to cut all these tacks, and I'm gonna have to take a little bit more out of the bed floor by about a 1/2 inch to be able to close this thing. I'll probably go a little bit extra just to make sure, but here's what we're looking like for bed floor height. It's pretty much a flat bed, but it does look good. The other option I've seen people do is modify the tailgate, but when this is buffed out, it actually looks pretty good with the patina. So I am going to cut apart my tacks, take a little bit more out of the floor now that I know where I'm at, measure really carefully, and then finish weld it. That sucks. I'm out here looking at this thing. Tailgate won't close like I was saying, but sometimes you screw up and it's actually better. So there's always, when people do this, a pretty big gap between the bed and the tailgate from going far enough. Well, this rib on the tailgate here sticks out further than all the rest. I'm going to relief that rib and bring it in the 1/4 inch that it needs, and then I'll do some sort of scar on just that rib, and then it brings all these other center ribs with the 1/4 inch gap real close to that bed floor. Instead of modifying this, if I cut this again, this gap increases even more. So I can have a tighter gap here, one little cut on this rib, and same with that side, and then I'll do some nice scars and clear coat it and all the good stuff. And this might actually be something that works out to be better because I get rid of this gap in the back. Okay, taking a little better look at this tailgate. That bottom pin mark there is where the floor sits. Check this out though. This rib sits up higher by about a 1/4 inch at least than all the rest. So that's the high rib. So if I cut that off and I cut that rib off, this tailgate should just close. And then we don't have to modify this. And then we get the tighter gap back here like we want. And we're only modifying this little part of this one rib. We'll just cut from there to there. We'll do some sort of nice scars on it so it looks good. But here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to cut this out. Take a look at what we got. There it is. Notched out. That should fit around the floor. The other side's notched out. Now it's lower than, it's the same height as the other posts all the way down. So let's go check it out, see if it fits. I think it will. And then if it does, we will just get a flat piece of material that's blue and weld it in there and do some nice weld marks like the rest of the bed. No big deal. Tailgate's back on. Tailgate closes. Got those notches in there. 1, 2, check this out. All good. Completely closing tailgate. And there's still just the tiniest gap there, but all the way down, we have a beautiful gap. We have that notch there because that one hung over. Same thing with that side, so I'll just fix the tailgate there. We get to leave that, and our tailgate's nice and tight against the back. I just would have lost another 1/4 inch. I would have had a big old gap down the whole back of that if I didn't do that. So I guess I got lucky that I cut it a little too short, and that worked that way because I kind of split the difference of the cutting of this and the tailgate, because if I would have just notched that, it wouldn't have been enough if the floor wasn't cut too. So got lucky there. So what I'm going to do, pull this tailgate off, and then I am going to start tacking up this whole entire floor. I want to get it tacked while it's bolted in here like this, just so that we have a nice surface to work with. I am going to take the tailgate off though, but it's kind of cool to have a tailgate on there. It hasn't been on there in a long time. That's the filler that we're going to have to build, and then I'll make it so we have access to airbags, lift pump, because yes, this thing is a diesel. We'll have a lift pump, fuel tank, batteries. I want to go a little further forward. We'll talk about that stuff a little bit more later once the truck's over here and you guys can see the rest of it, but we're going to continue on the bed now. I'm going to get this welded up. Here is where I got on this thing. I started grinding just a little bit, sanding, but I did all the welding. All the tacks are in there. I just do one tack and I jump around all over this thing. So I'll grind it all down now, sand it all down, and then polish it and then remove the tape. And then that gives me a nice crisp line. But that takes a long time and I don't want to record it because you guys don't want to sit here and watch that forever. I'm just going to keep going. So I was able to get a little time lapse of this. It is not easy though. Those either think it's a shortcut, you're wrong. It'd be way easier to just sand it all down and do the body work. That took forever. I didn't film a whole bunch of it just because all you do is grind all these welds down and it takes forever. There's all the stuff I end up using for grinding, a nice thick grinding wheel, this little stone block. This is for buffing the weld afterwards. I just buff it like that and get it all nice and smooth, and then sometimes you got to use that. But getting in this corrugated area is really tough. So right here you could see, you can't see it, but a pencil grinder was doing a pretty good job. It did break, but if you try to get all the weld and get it nice and clean like that, it digs too deep. I chose to leave the weld right there, like all the spots. I ended up choosing to just leave the weld. So there is little spots of weld that you could see, but it doesn't look horrible. For a patina bed floor, it'll work fine. Leaving the weld keeps the strength. I didn't want to get rid of the strength in the bed floor, and if you dig too far in, yes, it looks better, but you got to have that balance between functionality and the look. But for a patina bed floor, this is going to be just fine. And I also, see if you look down here, it's all nice and smooth and about as uniform as you're going to get. But I will also run a rubber bed floor mat on this, so you're probably never going to see it. The Holley bed floor mats, I've ran them on almost every truck I've done. It's really nice to be able to set stuff in the bed without clanking around and all that stuff. So it should look good. I might have to cut a 1/2 inch off the back of it so it fits with that, but that's what you get for a scar. I'm going to call it for this video. I am going to get a better system on how long these videos need to be, what can go in them, and all that stuff. Just going through the footage last night gave me a great kind of set plan of where I need to be. It made me realize I forgot to film stuff, and I possibly filmed way too much stuff and going to make more editing for myself than I really need. Also, I have a blur over here. I welded too close to this camera and I screwed up the lens. I'm staring at the imperfection right now. So I'm gonna get this better. You guys let me know in the comments if you wanna see more detail about what I'm doing, about like every step, or if you just want the basics. We're gonna weld this up, jump to a welded piece. I don't know what you guys wanna see. So let me know. I wanna document this process. This truck's really fun to build. I do enjoy making the videos. We'll see how the editing goes. But anyway, I'm going to get to that. Next video, we're getting into the rock guards. I'll see you guys on the next one.